Welcome back to another behind the scenes. This time we are looking at my song Happy. I'm going to break down the stems, so the individual parts in the song, so we can see how the arrangement was built, see some production moves, some cool stories. And I'm just going to jump right into it. So the way the song begins here, with this piano arpeggio, this is an interesting story behind this. So I was house sitting for somebody with a 100-year-old Steinway grand piano and decided I wanted to record it, but for whatever reason I decided I wanted to put the mics underneath the piano, like at the bottom of the wood as opposed to on the strings. It became a challenge when we were trying to mix, for sure, but it's an interesting sound. It gives the feeling of being far away from it in a room as opposed to being right up in it, which was the hope, which was the goal. So I'm happy with the way it turned out. As that piano arpeggio progresses, we arrive at this section here where there's a synth overlay. It was a lot of fun to build that. One of the most fun parts about this song, and one of my favorite memories from making this record in general, was my friend Sam Witt. He played trumpet on the song, and Sam was coming over to my house a few times a month in 2023. And we were working on some arrangements for a project we were doing with Daniel Fears, working on some string arrangements. But he would stay the night, and one of those nights, we grabbed my dad's old busted trumpet from my closet. It's got a broken valve, it's hasn't been played in eons. And Sam's a good trumpet player, and I said, "Well, see what you can do with it. I'm just going to turn the mic on and just goof around." And he started coming up with these really interesting atmospheric ideas that I ended up blending with some orchestra. And it's definitely my favorite part of this song, and one of my favorite things on the entire album. I'll give you a couple little snippets of it here. Wow. What a crazy combination of things that ended up sounding so beautiful. This ending section here is one of my favorites. I want to show you this. Yeah, it's just such a beautiful sound. Thank you, Sam, if you're watching this. Thanks so much for playing amazing stuff. One of the very first elements that I added on this song, way back in 2018 when I first started recording it, was I have a Stratocaster, and I drop tuned it a bunch. So I turned all the strings way down and got this kind of gnarly baritone, which kind of sounds hideous on its own, but in the context of everything else. I heard Phineas one time say that if you listen to good songs as stems, the stems sound like crap. And that sounds like crap, but in all the best ways. Let's see, what else is interesting about this song? So I recorded the drums for this song the same time that I recorded the piano. And I was listening to a lot of Talk Talk at the time. This great band from the 80s and 90s. They have two albums in particular, one called Spirit of Eden and one called Laughingstock. And both of those albums are these really mesmerizing, hypnotic, sort of dark, brooding flow states. And they're beautifully recorded, and the drums on that record are this just kind of pulse that keeps going. So I started out recording drums with that in mind, but I didn't record them very well, so it didn't end up mixing the way that I wanted it to. You can hear a little example of them at the beginning. So originally that was just the pulse of the whole song. And it's not a bad idea, but it was missing some of the weight and the drama that I was looking for. So about the 11th or 12th revisioning of this song, I decided to add some kind of James Blake hip-hop influenced 808 stuff, but in 5, so it's got a cool flow to it. There's this sound, which is actually me. It's like a kind of sound. That sound, that was me taking two brushes, like drum brushes, and just rubbing them against each other right in front of the mic. It turned out kind of cool. What else is interesting? This song was the very first song that I worked on for this record, the very first song that I completed, and it was the hardest song to finish by far. I think because it was the first, I was sort of establishing some of the rules of the environment or the world that this album would live in. And by the time I sent it off to the mix engineer, Con Davison, I was pretty convinced that it sucked and just didn't really want to hear it again. I was like, just do whatever you want on it and hopefully something cool comes from it. And he sent it back to me. He did such an amazing job on it that it really gave me a bunch of inspiration to go and then complete all the rest of these songs, many of which were mixed by Con. So just goes to show that a great mixing engineer can really change a piece of music for the better. And that's what Con did with this piece. So thank you, Con, for your amazing work, your art. And I don't know where else to go with this. I think that's kind of covered most of it. I remember recording some thunder and some rain on my back porch, and it felt like it fit the vibe, so added some moments of that in here. One of the things actually I wanted to mention quickly about the strings, you'll hear here. Though it's an entire string section, there are only 2 notes at a time, duophonic arrangement. And it's something that I have been more and more drawn to the more that I've been working on string arrangements. Like there's a lot of beauty in lush, thick harmony, like you would hear in a Ravel piece or something. And I love doing that kind of work, but within the context of a piece like this, I set the challenge to myself of like, if I could only use 2 notes at a time with an orchestra, what are those going to be? And it has yielded something that I don't know. I don't exactly know how to explain it. It's just there's a clarity of intent maybe, and the challenge of it was, how do I make something sound like it's moving and massive and beautiful and morose, but just with 2 notes at a time. And I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. And obviously all of Sam's awesome trumpet stuff really helps subsidize that space. But I don't know. I think I've been going for like 10 minutes here or something. So that's probably enough out of me. I'm just gonna play a little bit of the song at the end here, and thank you for listening to this video. And I hope to, I will be checking in with you on the next song. So peace.